Hello students, your instructor here, John Mandiola with another screencast. This one looking at Klavika. It's part of the Serifs #2 group. And one of the nice things about Klavika is actually designed here in the Minneapolis metro area, so that's really cool. The other thing is it's just a gorgeous typeface. It's very boxy, much more boxy and square than even DIN. This one is very rectangular. It's part of a whole trend of rectangular sans serif typefaces. But anyway, let's look at what makes this font gorgeous. First of all, the A is double story, but then it just goes straight out from across there, and then sharply back to the stem. Notice how the A and even the R, they ended pretty sharp finials, terminals. Actually, there's a lack of terminals, they just end. T is a hook, that's not that big of a deal, but if you look at the A, the U, the T, they're the same kind of sweeping upwardness from the bowl back to the stem. Now the rectangular quality is really evident in the uppercase letters. If you look at a letter like the R, look at how it's basically just a big square up top there, and the leg is kicked out very far to the side off that bowl. I think it's a little bit too far, but that just makes it have more character. The S, look at how rectangular and boxy this S is. It feels very masculine. The typeface overall feels very masculine, very clean, very futuristic. The C, I mean, look at this. It doesn't curl back toward the middle or anything like that. It's not round. It's mostly boxy. It's just a little bit of curving on the top left and bottom left sides. You can see here, if I zoom in on this, letters like the lowercase u and lowercase n are essentially just opposites, or essentially the same letter form, just rotated 180 degrees. That's another nice thing about this typeface. Let's try to look at it now. The glyphs, see a few more letters that are key. So here we're looking at individual glyphs. Again, the A quite wide. The G, notice how there's not much ornament at all to it. It's just like the C, where it's, you know, nothing curls back toward the middle. G doesn't have a crossbar; it just goes up simply. The M is cantered, which I find interesting considering how boxy and rectilinear everything else is, but it's cantered. The K, the arms and legs touch each other, and they barely touch. They might even miss the stem right there. The O is very boxy, the Q is boxy with a small tail off the bottom, the R again with a large kick out on the leg, the S is very boxy. This has a full set of true small caps, which is nice. It's a very boxy typeface. It's very cold. If it, you know, it's not very warm and engaging, it's cold. Another nice thing is the lowercase g, the double story, the loop on the bottom doesn't actually wrap back around, it just kind of stops. Snake-like. They give the option of a regular single story lowercase g, which is interesting. Now, examples of it in use. The number one most prominent example of it in use is something you probably see multiple times per day without even thinking about it, and that is the Facebook logo. This is quite distinctly Klavika. You can see that even in its bold state, it just barely touches the stem here in the K. The B, notice how it just curves up sharply. It just holds put. The A curves up even more sharply. And there's actually a little bit of customization here to create a nice ligature with the pylon here. So the F and the A are cut at a slight notch. That's pretty much the only customization going on here. The B and the K cut off at a slight notch. Otherwise, everything's very boxy. Look at the C, how nothing curls back to the middle. Another example of it in use, NBC used it for a while for their on-air programming, their bumpers, in and out of commercials. Again, notice the cantered M, the boxy O and D. Like that, the R that sharply cuts off. Here's another example of The Office. Here's a gorgeous 3-letter ligature, which you don't see very often. And one more, talking about the new season, right when they kicked off their use of Klavika here. Again, notice the very squarish S, the boxy C, that it does not curl toward the middle. For example, I know it's kind of hard to read. It's designed that way on purpose. But even in its hard to read state, you can still see that it's distinctly Klavika. The R, very boxy with a kicked out leg. The M is cantered. The K barely touches the stem. The S is very squared off. The J dips down into the baseline a bit. The G has no crossbar. Another example of it, here's a more clear, easy to read example, in this case showing a nice use of the different weights of Klavika. Again, notice the cantered M, the leg kick out on the boxy bowl on the R, the G with no crossbar, and the boxy S. So that's Klavika in a nutshell. Like I said, it's designed right here, Golden Valley, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis. So that's awesome. That's all I got for Klavika. Goodbye.